Thanks for joining us down there on the very brown College Green. I spoke to Mark Harper yesterday, who assured me that Rishi Sunak would not drop out of the race because the polls that show that Liz Truss is quite far ahead of him in the polls are not true. What's your take on all that?
Absolutely. Rishi is fighting this race to win. I talk to Conservative members every day, and there is a huge support for Rishi and his message and his plan for the economy to beat inflation, to grow the economy, and then to get our taxes down in an affordable and a sustainable way.
And what is his plan to beat inflation? Because it seems to be ratcheting out of control at 13% at the moment.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I'm having problems hearing.
Yes, no, I was asking, what is his plan to beat inflation?
He believes that we need to get inflation down first.
Yeah, but how?
Obviously involved working with the Bank of England. Well, certainly not by launching into very big unfunded tax cuts. I think that would be a danger. He's setting out his plans on how to beat inflation in due course.
Yeah, but we don't know what they are, do we? So if he wants to be Prime Minister, shouldn't we be told what he plans to do to get people's cost of living down?
And he certainly will set them out.
When?
I can't give you a date for that, but he is absolutely determined that we will address inflation. That's part of his core plan for the economy.
Yeah, OK, but I understand that, and I'm quite happy that he wants to do it, but you're halfway through a rather lengthy leadership debating season, and he hasn't yet revealed how he would do it. Is he reluctant to reveal it? Does he not know what he will do? What's the story?
He is determined to get inflation down. He knows that that is the biggest economic challenge we face, and that's what he will do as Chancellor. And he's made this his priority ahead of tax cuts. Of course, you know, as Conservatives, we all want to see taxes come down, but the reality is that you need to find a way to do that which doesn't lead to excessive borrowing or fuel inflation.
OK. Well, let me ask you, Theresa, what do you think he should do? If you were advising him on how to get inflation down, what would you suggest?
Well, certainly I think we need to ensure that the Bank of England has all the space it needs to deliver on the mandate that it has set. That is a crucial way to beat inflation. I know Liz Truss wants to see a review of the Bank of England's mandate, but actually I believe that the Bank of England has a pretty good record in terms of keeping inflation at or near to target since it was granted independence.
Really?
So I think working in collaboration with the Bank of England and giving them the space they need to take measures to address inflation is, of course, crucial.
Yeah. Well, when the Bank of England said that they couldn't control inflation about 2 months ago, when it was down below sort of 7%. What did you make of that? Because that sounded to me like they didn't know what they were doing.
Inevitably, you know, inflation around the world is hitting all economies. And yes, for the moment, it hasn't been possible to bring it down. But it is crucial that we work to do that, not least, of course, is working on our domestic supplies of energy so that we're less dependent on volatile global energy markets.
So do you and Rishi Sunak think we should then be fracking in order to have more control of our own energy?
Certainly, both I and Rishi have said that we should pursue fracking. Obviously, local communities have to be on board and appropriate planning processes have to be gone through in local areas. But yes, that is a part of improving our energy security and reducing our dependence on oil and oil imports.
Yes.
Hydrocarbon imports.
OK. I'll give you one last chance, Theresa, to tell me what Rishi Sunak's plan is to get rid of inflation.
Well, as I've said, working with the Bank of England and also ensuring that we become more energy resilient. He's announced extensive plans on energy security, and of course getting energy prices down is a crucial way to tackle inflation. So you've already seen significant plans set out by Rishi as to how he is going to deal with this inflation crisis.
Yes. Well, we look forward to hearing from him when he decides to tell us what he's going to do. Theresa, thank you very much indeed. Theresa Villiers, Rishi Sunak supporter. And either Rishi Sunak doesn't have a plan, Jess, or he just doesn't want to tell us what it is.
He was Chancellor of the Exchequer under Johnson's government. Of course he can't figure out how to solve inflation. He caused it.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm willing to give him a little bit of credit and say, well, some of the inflationary pressures have come from elsewhere. Fine. But, you know, if he's not going to put out his plan now, when is he going to do it? You know, and what is the plan? If he's not going to cut taxes, what is he going to do exactly? And she can't tell me, and apparently he can't tell us, so maybe he doesn't have a plan.
Again, it's socialist Sunak, isn't it? He has no plan other than more taxes, such as the windfall tax, and just general government spending. These handouts just an excuse for nanny state dependency. Right. It's just an excuse.
Well, I think he thinks that by giving out money, it's making him popular. You know, he suffers from the same problem as the police. He wants to be popular. He loved being popular when he was giving out furlough money, because he thought that made him the likely next candidate to be Prime Minister. And then he had the non-dom business with his wife, and it all went a bit kind of skew-whiff. And now suddenly he's finding himself in a losing battle against Liz Truss, and he still won't say what he's going to do. I find that extraordinary.
Well, that's the thing with the nom-dom thing. He understands how awful taxes are.
Yeah.
Yet he's happy to inflict it on the rest of us.
Yeah, and he tells us how it feels. He knows how it feels to be struggling. I do really doubt that somehow. He is an incredibly wealthy individual. Nothing wrong with that. But don't pretend that you know what it's like not to be wealthy, because you've always been wealthy. And that, I'm afraid, is the problem. How about this from Julian in Coventry? I recently retired after 30 years in the police, and I could see the decline in standards and the woke agenda taking over around 10 years ago, caused by Theresa May, whose name hardly ever comes up in the debate. Yes, it was her that ruined what was once the best police service in the world. She cut 24,000 officers and, of course, closed hundreds of police stations, and most importantly, closed all the training colleges, which is a cause of poor standards in training. That's from Julian in Coventry. Thanks for that. We've got more coming up. Mark Saggers is going to talk to us. He's the presenter of the Sunday Night Club on talkTV. Of course, he's going to talk to us about tennis. He's going to talk to us about classified football results as well. And Serena Williams retiring from the sport. This is talkTV.